And I was like, I don't understand why he's staying. Just get out. Like, get out of there. And then I was like, oh, get it. Get out
It's
of
happening.
there. There
It's
it is.
happening.
There it is.
Amazing.
Hello, and welcome to Spooky Sips, where we put our love of horror movies into a podcast and sip some spirits along the way. I'm one of your hosts, Ivette, here with my co-hosts, Laura and Brianna.
Hello.
Hey. We just got finished watching the 2017 movie Get Out. This movie is about a young interracial couple, Chris and Rose. They're going home to Rose's family to meet the parents. And at one point on their way, Chris is like, did you tell them I'm Black? And she's like, well, no, why would I have said that? And you can see that he's like a little bit like, oh, I kind of wish you would have said something. But she's like, no, they're great. They love Obama.
Would have voted for him a third time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the movie. So there we go.
Okay, so have we all seen this movie before?
Yes, yeah. I had seen it when it first came out.
Yeah,
but I
same.
haven't seen it since then. And watching it, I was like, I genuinely have no idea how this movie ends. Like, I couldn't remember what was the thing that it was about.
Oh, okay.
I know.
That's interesting.
So I was like, it's like I was watching it for the first time, basically. So.
I couldn't remember the final like ending of it. You know, if people get away or die, I couldn't remember that very final part. But I did remember the premise of this wild ride movie.
Yeah. I do think because I was wondering, because I did remember a lot of the movie. I was wondering if it would be good on a rewatch, like a second watch through. And honestly, I think if you know the ending, it's actually worth a rewatch because you watch it differently. You see the scenes and you're like, oh, I know why they're doing this.
Yes.
And like, it's completely different from what I thought was happening the first time I watched it.
It just made me think about how good the actress was. The actress that played Rose, kind of knowing what ends up happening. I was just like, oh my gosh, she's such a good actress.
Honestly, the acting, I feel like, is pretty incredible, like all around.
I agree.
I feel like it was noticeably good.
Yes.
Acting.
Well, and that was one of my very first notes that I took where I was like, okay, we're only a few minutes in and like it's already tense and anxious. And the way that they play the dynamics, like it's an anxious movie. And I was like, I wrote down, I don't like this. I would rather be scared than anxious. Like I am just on edge. And it was so funny because like even my dog like wouldn't settle down because I was so like anxious. I was like, oh my gosh. So,
and he could just sense it.
Yes. The acting was phenomenal and too good. And it had me on edge.
Yes. Yeah, we do have like an opening.
Where there's a man who's like calling his friend and he's lost in the suburbs.
Yes.
Because he's talking about there's two streets that have like very similar name. Like one is Laurel Ave and one is Laurel Lane or something like that. I'm making up. That's not the actual name.
Right.
But
No,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And yes, this is a Black man and he gets jumped. Or, well, okay. As he's walking down the street, there's this car slowly following him, like clearly like thinking he's being suspicious, which is just super annoying.
And it's playing that, you'll know if you're on like social media, that Run Rabbit Run song, that Run Rabbit Run Rabbit.
Yeah. The score was really good in this movie.
Yes. Yeah. And I had completely forgotten that was in this because it's now like a trendy audio. For TikTok, like, but it's a very eerie song to be playing in your car, so it already feels like fucked, like,
And Jordan Peele said he wanted, because Jordan Peele, it was his debut film. He wrote, directed, co-produced it. Like he was playing all the roles. He said he wanted the white car to be like Jaws, like that was the effect. You know, it's like you get it like slowly approaching as he's like turning around. Totally. And I feel like you definitely get that effect.
And yeah, the car turns around and drives and stops, and then he gets jumped and dragged to the car.
And then it switches from that old-timey music to just like I actually looked it up. It's called like scratch tones on the violin is what they're doing, and it's just this creepy, scratchy violin music. And then we jump and we meet the couple.
Yeah. And I will add, for the opening credits, we get the light blue text, which he did as a little homage to The Shining.
Nice.
Kind of from the same color, same idea. And then we'll see that again in the later video that one of the characters has to watch. The little introductory video to Why You're Here also uses the same light blue text.
Oh my god.
Which is kind of a fun thing.
All these like little hidden
I'm gonna need to like be quiet because like there's so much. Because we keep talking about the music. For the intro music, Jordan Peele mentioned what he wanted and what he told what was the person who does the music?
Composer?
Whoever did the music for the movie or did the score. He said he wanted something that was like black voices in a sinister kind of sound, but wasn't voodoo. That was his requirements for like what he wanted as that intro song, and he just nailed it. Like I was like, what a weird like imagine if someone was like, here's what I want you to go find. Imagine finding that,
like, okay,
that music.
Right. Yeah, it's a very specific request.
Yeah.
Yes. So then we meet the couple, and they're really cute. They haven't been dating super long, but long enough that it's like, go meet the parents.
I think they like when they meet the parents, he says something about how, we've been together 4 months, and she goes, it's actually been 5.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
So yeah.
And we get the feeling that they're wealthy, her family, because she's talking about the house that they're going to. And so, that's kind of the scene that's been set.
And then I will, again, I have way too much to talk about. I'm going to start jumping some of these.
Give us the facts.
But the very first time we see Chris, he's shaving. So the very first time we see Chris, we get him like putting a bunch of white to cover up his face. So we get, that's his very first time, like him covering up in white, and he cuts himself shaving, which is supposed to show like he's in danger. Like the very, very first scene we get with him is that.
I also loved how we first meet him, not by seeing him, but we see a bunch of photographs because he's a photographer.
Yeah.
We see a bunch of photographs that he has taken, which are really beautiful photographs, but it almost kind of shows, I'm sure there's probably symbolism to that too. Like the fact that it's
we're
almost,
seeing his eye,
we're
not
seeing his
him.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Like disconnected from him in yet another way, which is forthcoming. But,
yes.
But yeah, so she assures him after he asks do they know I'm black, and she said, well, no, but I assure you they are not racist.
Yeah. And then he has a great line where he's like, I just don't want to get chased off the lawn with a shotgun. Which, we all know what's coming.
Dun, dun,
Spoiler alert. He does.
If somehow you haven't watched this movie, like, please don't tell me this isn't the first thing you're hearing about it. Please go watch it.
No, turn the podcast off and go watch it,
and then come back.
Yes, 100%.
So they get there, they pull up. It's this really nice country house, and it's very secluded. And the parents are on the porch, and they're just like very typical upper middle class white parents.
I feel like we don't talk about the way there though, because they're driving.
Oh, right.
They're right. They're leaving the city. They're going out. They're driving, and they hit a deer.
Yes,
and it's intense.
Scary.
Like
So they hit a deer, and they take their moment, to react to it, and one of them ends up calling the cops. I think there was and I think there was. I don't think they show her calling because there was a deleted scene that it was him who wanted to call.
Oh, okay.
Well, and we get we know Chris has a connection to car accidents, and so his character would not want to leave. Is kind of the idea here. Like he would want to stay back and call, but I think they ended up getting rid of that. So we don't see who calls.
Yeah, once they're there, it is her that is interacting with the officer because he went over to the animal. to like see what was happening,
Yeah.
Well, and there are also some theories or ideas as to that she really did not want that cop involved in there, and that it wasn't about her being like, hey, you're being a racist cop. It was that she didn't want his Chris's
identity,
name associated with her.
Yeah.
Which if you haven't seen it, you would never you would never know. It appears that she is being defensive for him.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, and Jordan Peele talked about how hard it was for her, like creating that character where like you have to believe her, right?
Yes.
You have to believe she's on his side, but you also don't want it to then not make any sense when you realize her real intentions. So like you're saying it was really hard. And I guess the way that they did it is like they kind of just thought about her as like two characters, you know, when they were combining. So Rose was like what we see. She's in this couple, and then Roro was the evil alternative person. So
honestly,
that's how they talked about it.
It totally felt like that because it didn't even seem like she was faking the genuine sincerity and love for Chris. Like it felt like if she did feel like two different characters. So I feel like they totally pulled that off because
and we'll get into it. I have extreme confusion and frustration with the entire plot of this movie, and we'll get into that. But part of it is that she actually is the only one that is playing her part well. To me, no one else did. So I'm kind of like in hindsight, like she's the most believable.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like the dad is believable and him being like kind of a clueless dad. Well-intentioned. Clueless dad.
So, yeah. The mom and brother, lot of confusion and questions, but we'll get there. We'll get to that. So,
and also before they hit the deer, there is a phone call between Chris and his friend, the TSA agent, who
you guys,
favorite character of the
funniest character.
I love him.
I don't even remember what my note was that I wrote about him, but like he is by far. Oh, I said. Well, then I also said the TSA propaganda is top tier.
I love it so much.
TSA, it's amazing. Like
it's like this movie made me love the TSA.
Yes, right. Amazing. And I think I saw somewhere that actor like gets recognized a lot by TSA agents.
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh my gosh! Like I love the idea that when you're flying, it's like, oh my gosh.
Hey, it's hard.
Okay, it's tiny Easter egg. In the scene where he's talking to Rob, because Rob is working at the airport and taking a break. In the background, you can hear that they're calling for flight 237. Another homage to The Shining.
Room 237.
Cute.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Just a little nod.
So yeah, they get through that. They get to the house. They meet the parents.
And they have to pass by the groundskeeper to get to the parents, and the groundskeeper is just staring.
And it's like he's like kind of waving, but like kind of
right.
And you don't even get to see his face because again, they're just like driving past. Like we don't get to see him until like a lot later. Yeah.
I did see one fun fact. I'm sure you probably have it, but I saw that like it was important to Jordan Peele that like especially the dad be a very traditional like white liberal dad. And so he thought of this guy because he saw him in The West Wing and he was like, that's who I want to be the dad. And so he asked the guy and he was like, yeah, let's do it. But I was like, I love that he was like, that's exactly who I want him to appear to be.
Yeah.
Is like this just very white liberal, kind of clueless and out of touch dad.
Yeah. I think he definitely took advantage of what audiences would think of the actor. So I think it was the same with Allison Williams. Like from the other roles she'd been in, it was like, oh, that's someone I can trust and someone I can believe. And, that's what he wanted. It was like, take these actors that you think based on some of their previous roles and then switch it up a little bit.
Honestly, it was genius because that's exactly how it is. Like,
totally. And so they do tell the parents the story about hitting the deer. And I did like there's some little moments of humor in this movie which are just golden because she's kind of explaining, oh yeah, we're fine. It just fruck us out a little bit. And then I noticed her say that and I was like, what?
Yeah.
But then, you know, the mom and dad and the actors, like, they call her out, like, oh, it fruck you out. Like, what kind of a word is that?
Yeah.
And then the dad has this whole thing about deer and how he hates them and it's ruining his landscaping. And he's like, the more dead deer, the better. I was like, oh my God, what?
Yeah. I feel like, because of what, you know, it's like Jordan Peele, like there has to be a little bit of comedy. At least I wanted there to be some, you know, like I rewatched Key and Peele like somewhat recently actually. And it's like, it still holds up.
Oh yeah.
Like they really did.
Classic.
Well, it was so funny because when I was telling Aaron about what movie we watched, he hasn't seen it. And I was telling him that yeah, Keenan Peele is the director. And he was like, what?
Jordan Peele.
And I was like, oh, yeah, like that. I just thought his name was Keenan Peele. And I was like, oh, no, it's okay. I'm sorry. No,
yeah,
that's the other guy.
Because I know it's like, that's how you think of them, right? It's
like one unit.
Yeah,
so I
just,
like,
I'm Keegan Michael Key. I'm Jordan Peele. Like, it's like you get the, you have to merge them together. But it does make sense because Jordan Peele was talking about how like, there's so much overlap really with comedy and horror. Like at the end of the day, you need basically like perfect timing to get both of these genres right.
Yes.
You know, and he kind of nailed it with this.
Honestly, I think that comedy horror is one of the harder ones to pull off because like when it's not done well, it's so fucking stupid. Like
it feels dumb. Like it feels very dumbed down when it's bad.
We've watched some of those on this podcast.
Yeah, I'm still sorry.
Lord Almighty.
But yeah, it all just seems a little bit too good. Like they're a little bit too nice. Like they're trying too hard. The dad ends up showing Chris, like this wall of these photographs of his dad. So Rose's grandfather, who ended up, was it an Olympic race that he ended up losing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it happened to be an Olympic race that he lost to a black man, and but his dad was like, no, but it was a good thing. Like he deserved it, or
yeah.
Well, and like Hitler was there, and
like it was like sticking it to Hitler or something.
Yeah. So his dad was glad to lose. Like,
because Jesse Owens is a real runner.
Well, right.
Like this is all based on like real events.
Yeah, his dad isn't. The real person, but yes.
Let's see. Oh, and then he does make a point as he's like giving him a tour of the house. He's shown the pictures and he gives a tour of the house. And then he does make a point to say, yeah, we love this place. The nearest house is miles away.
The minute I heard that, I was like, oh, there we go.
Nope.
No one's around.
The minute you hear that in general, you should just leave.
Get out.
You just make sure you have keys or something, a car. I don't know. You should just go.
And another part of the tour is that they walk by the kitchen where the maid is, and she's also black and also very like not robotic, but just
almost like
almost robotic. Like And
I mean,
you know,
we've talked about the acting. Her acting, like we will get to it, but she has, I think, the best scene in
her
like this
facial
whole movie. Yeah,
movements.
Yes,
and and the dad makes a point where he's like, I bet I know what you're thinking. Like, oh, all the help is black. But, you know, he explains that like they were the caregivers for his parents. And then when his parents died, he didn't want to put them out. So he kept them on. And that's why. And you can, and Chris is the kind of character where he's very reserved. And so like he doesn't say it. He's like, yeah, no, I get that. You can tell that he has his own opinions, but he's being very
I mean, it's like when you meet new people, like especially like I don't know, like the in-laws, right? Where it's like you're just gonna sit there and like it's like okay, like you're just barely meeting them, right? You're gonna okay, sure.
It's a girlfriend who he really likes. I mean, a little bit later on in the movie, they confess their love to each other,
right?
And so he's, even if her family is a little bit cringy and he's gonna try to have a good impression.
So then her parents remind her that it's the date of the party. They have this annual party. And, the daughter pretends to be surprised. She's like, wait, I can't believe it. Why didn't you tell me? And so she's like, I'm so sorry. Like, it's going to be all my parents' friends. And he's like, no, it's fine. Whatever. And then we meet the brother.
Yep.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of questions.
A real piece of work
and opinions.
His hair. There's just so much to talk about.
Like, okay, I don't know if this is an accurate feeling, but this is how I felt, okay? It felt like he was a Southern plantation owner.
Yes.
That was the vibe I got. The way he dressed, the way he talked, the way he acted, like, because he is the most outwardly racist.
Yeah.
And so he had a different feeling than the other family members.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the idea with his character is that he was going to be the most like rebellious, you know, because it's like there is a degree to which his character is the only character that never changes. Right. Exactly. The rest of the family, we meet the first version of them, and then we find out who they really are. But it's like, I think the idea with the brother was that he didn't really bother to hide, or he didn't care to.
Yeah, he just was who
for
he
whatever
was.
Motivation. His character pretty much consistent, which like in a way like makes him the most honest.
No, 100%.
Honestly,
he was
maybe
awful
the least
from
evil.
the start.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So they're like at dinner and he's drunk, and his parents have made a couple of comments that like he's drunk, and he goes off on this whole thing about how like, oh, you could be an MMA fighter with your build and your physique. He's like, come on, man, let's fight. Oh. And Chris very calmly is like, I have a rule that I don't fight with drunks, so I'm good. And you know, it gets tense. And the parents finally have to kind of like verbally step in and be like, knock it off. But it builds this really intense tension. And earlier in the day before the brother came, there was a moment where the mom like snapped at Georgina, the maid.
Oh, yes.
And that later, Chris and Rose talks about like, I don't know what's going on with my family. They're not like this. She's like,
I think that's the scene right after this.
Yeah, she's like, they're not like this. I'm so sorry. Like, I don't know what's gotten into them.
Because the mom is rude to Georgina. The brother's like overtly just like, hey, you can fight because you have, you know, good build, but it's obviously super racist. And then the dad is just doing things where like he's just saying things, almost kind of talking like, you know, in the stereotyped way that he would assume black people would talk. Like, he's trying
to relate to him.
Yes.
In a stereotypical way.
Yeah. Inappropriate way.
Yeah.
Because he even does. He right out comes with it. Like one of the first things he says to Chris is like, oh, you know, I do love Obama.
Right.
And then he like for him a third time.
He starts calling him brother, and she apologized. She's like, he's never done that.
Never said that. Yeah.
I was just gonna say that's when like Chris gets the feeling that he is her first boyfriend of color. Like all of her past boyfriends have been white. And so like maybe they just don't know how to act. Like
Yeah. Chris is like very understanding.
Yes.
Like, he's like, no, like it's fine. You're good.
Fine.
And I guess the scene where Rose is like complaining about her family, I don't think that was originally in the script. He ended up like adding that in. I think just again, because they had to play with us. They have to keep making us think that Rose is on his side.
Right.
That she is good. And so they kind of felt like, especially after the dinner scene, like we needed that confirmation again. And I think it was a good scene. I feel like that made sense to add it back in.
I think it was good.
Yeah. And it put some lightness in it to where he was like, I told you so.
Yeah.
Like he's like, I wasn't going to say I told you so.
But I was right.
You're over here thinking your family's like totally cool and not racist. But then all of a sudden you bring your person of color
and didn't tell them.
Yeah.
And they can't handle their shit.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I remember in the commentary, pretty much everything I say is coming from the DVD commentary. Because Jordan Peele is a nerd and he did the commentary by himself and broke down. He was talking the entire movie.
I love it.
Sometimes directors in the director commentary will like be kind of quiet or like bring someone else to talk about things or like do like little bits and like let some of the movie play. He talked the entire time.
That would be
entire commentary. He like was fully every single scene that he could explain. He explained. He was like, I don't have enough time. There's more to talk about.
I think I would be like that.
I don't know. There's something so fun about someone being excited about their work, right? Where it's like contagious. But for this scene he was talking about where it's like for him, like based on his experience, it's like, look, microaggressions are like the best case scenario. I was like, look, your family's not like fully racist. They like maybe make some weird little comments, little microaggressions. This is best case scenario. So like Chris is chilling at this point. Like right now, he's like, this is literally fine. Like,
like it's fine. We're good.
Like it's kind of ignorant, but also mostly harmless.
Right.
Yeah. And we also should say that it was either like right before dinner, when we are meeting the mom, they happen to find out that Chris is a smoker. And so the mom says that she can hypnotize him to get him to stop smoking. And he's like, no, I'm good. Like,
no, thank you.
No,
I just met you.
But like they talk about, I think, was it the dad they said used to smoke? And that as soon as she hypnotized him, even the thought of a cigarette, he was like made him want to throw up, made him sick. So that's just important to know.
So that night he wakes up in the middle of the night and he goes outside. He's gonna go have a smoke. And he's in the yard, and it's a really open lawn. Like it goes out to the water.
I mean, they have a giant,
like it's giant.
A giant space.
And he's like getting his smoke ready, and he like sees something.
You guys, this part is the part that freaks me out the most.
And it's so good.
The camera pans to it, and at first you're like, what is that? Because you can barely see anything because it's dark. Like there's no lights. Like, and then all of a sudden you see the garden guy running. Walter running straight towards him.
Full sprint.
And the way his arms are so stiff and just stay perpendicular the entire time. The way he's running, it almost makes it seem like robotic or like it's too fast or something. Like just and there's also no emotion in his face. He's just business. And it is so creepy.
They're just running right. And like right before he gets to him, he like sharp 90-degree turn and then just like keeps running. What? Yeah. And super less creepy, but then we see Georgina turn on the lights and it's like, wait, what is she doing? And she's just like admiring her complexion. She's but like in a day, like kind of like a daze, but just like, loving how she's looking. Which again, the first time you see this, it's like, oh, okay, creepy stuff is starting. But then when you have watched it and are watching it for the second time, it's like, oh, yeah, like, of course this makes sense. Like, you know, they just want to like experience things like, you know, if you got a brand new body, I guess you'd also go just sprint outside to be like, look at me run. I can do that. Right. Or like looking at your face, just be like, ooh, this is what it looks like now.
Like my wrinkles are all gone.
Well, and they have this almost like Stepford wife quality.
Which was an inspiration. He
it had to
specifically.
Okay, because I was going to say it's very like.
I was curious about that.
Yeah, that's the only word I can think of to describe it. Yeah.
That was definitely an inspiration for this.
Wild.
So then he goes to like go back inside. And as he goes back inside, the mom wants to talk to him. And she's like kind of.
And we get the stereotypical movie scene where, you know, he walks in and then she turns on the light.
Yes.
Like
and she's just sitting there in the dark
been expecting him.
And she starts to explain to him like what hypnosis is and how that works. And if you're a fan of the podcast, you know, we've talked about hypnosis and its problems. But she's explaining to him, and then she just really starts to cross the line, like about the questions she's asking, like, tell me about your mother dying and put yourself there and like hear the rain as it fell. And
well, and like I'll say, I think she is one of the more like complex characters because she has this like weird balance of being laid back and just like there, and then also just like what was the first thing she said? Oh, if he smokes in front of her daughter.
Yes.
And it's just very harsh. So she went from being this kind of laid back, like, to very harsh. And it's a weird dynamic.
She's stirring her tea so aggressively.
Well, and like, why do you need to stir it for 10 minutes? I mean, I guess because you're hypnotizing. Because she talks about like sometimes it's about hypnotizing. It involves focusing on an object, like a movement.
Yeah. And earlier in the scene where the mom was weird to Georgina, she asked about his mom. And when she asked, she was also stirring the tea. So she was preparing that from the very beginning.
See, I didn't notice that. All these little tidbits. And like as she's having him describe this memory of when his mom died and that, you know, when it happened, he was like in the chair and he had this feeling like he can't move. And he's just crying, like the tears streaming down his face.
Crying face.
It's so good.
Because he's got this like bewildered expression on his face as he's like crying.
The pain, but like the confusion of like what's happening right now. Like you get it all.
I almost feel like too in that moment, something about the way he acts makes him look like a kid again. Like he almost like transforms his facial features to being, you know, what he's the rest of the movie. And in that moment where he's having the memory of his mom, like he almost seems like a kid again. It was so good.
No, and so this is the scene actually that when he auditioned, they did this scene and Jordan Peele was like, literally, you are hired.
Cool.
This is absolutely your role. Which like at first the actor was like, wait, like for real? And he was like, no, like you're hired. Like
you're
I think he said they had him do it like 5 times. And Jordan Peele was like, no, like I swear to God, like the tears would start at like the exact same time. Like he nailed it. Like and honestly, I mean, it was so good in the movie, but
that's
I believe it.
So good.
By the way, the actor is British. So when I like later watched an interview and like a Q&A with him, I was like, whoa, what?
Yes.
So he's doing an American accent the whole time.
Which is wild because it does not sound like an accent at all, in my opinion.
Usually we can tell.
Yes. Yeah. Sometimes you get a little accidental slip where it's like, oh, they're pronounced. I didn't get that at all.
No.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing. That's amazing. But then the mom does, like, Brianna, what you were saying, where she, you know, she seems to be, you know, caring and
gentle and
gentle. And then all of a sudden her voice changes and she says the word sink. The way she says sink, but like her voice gets low.
Yeah. Oh, and the fear that we see from him, like he's like, it's like he does not want to. Yeah.
No.
Like if you are listening to this and you haven't watched it, you're doing yourself a disservice because the imagery and the way that they pull this off, like he just sinks into this like black hole, like this nothingness. And
it's like sort of air, but sort of water.
It's just like an abyss. Yeah.
And then very far away, there's this small square that we see at the top. And that's like his perspective where he sees them. So he sees her above him, like talking into him, but he's so sunken in this place.
And it looks, it almost looks like he's watching kind of like an old school TV screen.
Yes.
You can't see the rest of the TV set. You just see the screen.
Just the screen.
The effect of this was so good.
So cool.
So good. Yeah. And he's just free falling back further and further away. And the mom just says like, and now you're in the sunken place.
And then he wakes up like freaking out like a nightmare.
Yeah.
And he's like, that was a terrible dream. Like, he's like, I had a weird dream like about your mom. And and he thinks it was just a dream.
Yeah. For the sunken place, Jordan Peele talked about like the inspiration was like, you know, like when you're going to go to bed and sometimes you get that feeling like you're like falling. And so you like bolt up. He was like, what if you didn't bolt up? You know, like just that feeling you get of falling. And it's like, what if you just kept going, you know, which like, I don't know. People who are like really good writers and stuff. It's like, how do you take this thing that we all feel and
make it real?
A little further, right? Where it's like something we all experience. It's like, ooh, but what if? You have this little twist on it.
And you give like an actual scene to it.
Yeah. So it's like that feeling of falling back. And then what if you just kept falling?
Oh my gosh.
So then the next day he's outside and he sees Walter, the groundskeeper. That's what we'll call him, the groundskeeper. And he goes over to him and he's being his very weird like it's almost like he's talking in slogans. Like,
yes. He, again, all of the actors, I'm going to say this about everyone, but it's like, yeah, he nailed it, you know?
Mm-hmm. But
it's
then,
like all these old timey sayings that he's doing.
Exactly.
You know, and I do think he improvised. I think he improvised the line "top of the line" because he's talking about Rose. You know, it's like, oh, she's real top of the line.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing.
It's so
and then
good.
is it here that he apologizes for scaring him last night?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he apologizes for scaring him.
And you can tell that Chris is like, oh my God, what? Like, you mean that really happened? And he gives something that he was doing his nightly routine, his workout
because
regimen.
then he asks, like, how'd it go with Missy? Because I saw you went in there. And he was like, wait, what?
He was like, yeah, you were in there for a while. Like, did it work? Did she, like, get you to stop smoking?
Yeah.
And then that's when Chris realizes, like, oh, I haven't wanted to smoke.
Yes, because I think he, like, reaches it and it's like, oh, wait, I don't want to smoke.
Yeah. He's like, oh, this is grossing me out.
Yeah. So he goes upstairs to Rose and he's like, I think your mom hypnotized me last night. Like, and she apologizes because she's like, I didn't want her to do that to you. Like, get to you and get in your head. Like, I know not everyone likes that.
Yeah.
But he's like, no, it's, you know, it's fine, whatever. And
like, it's not. But
no.
But it's the day of the party already.
Informed consent is a big thing in the field of psychiatry and psychology.
Yes. But it's the day of the party, so there's really not like any time to dwell on it because as they're talking, people start showing up.
The guests are arriving.
All at the same time.
Yes.
Of course. Couldn't have it any other way.
And so it's just this weird, like, not a garden party. It's like a garden party. Like they're just all these old people that are their parents' age. And
we see Walter and Georgina like welcoming everyone.
Oh, and like hugging and like
hugging. Yep.
Yeah, like everyone's like very warm with them.
Yep.
And they explain that this is a party that the grandparents or, you know, Rose's grandparents used to throw. So it's like an annual tradition, happens at the same time all the time, or every year. But all the guests are just, I mean, that you were saying, talk about microaggressions. All the guests, here's how I wrote it down. Everyone's real racist.
Yes.
Treating him like a spectacle. Like, it's just, it's so intense.
Then I think the writing, it was like trying to make it so it was like, again, that line where it's like not fully crossing the line. Like they were being just nice enough. But it's like every character you meet is worse than the last.
Yes.
Like, it's
Yes.
And so like I had forgotten the entire plot of the movie, right? So we now meet one of the couples is this older woman and she's with a very young boyfriend who's black and he's dressed in like, again, like old timey, like he's dressed like a, like
I felt like a riverboat captain or something.
Yes, riverboat captain is good. Yes. Honestly, Well, so, and I didn't catch this the first time I watched this movie. Like, it wasn't until this rewatch that I realized that's the guy from the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, it's hard because it's so dark,
You're right?
So quick, so differently that like, and he wasn't. It just wasn't obvious.
He was acting very different because in the movie he was talking like himself. In this, he's talking like a robot. And this was when I was like, are all of the black people lobotomized? Like, is that it? Like,
honestly, yeah. That was
because I was like, what's happening? Like,
another little like foreshadowing when we meet Andre at the very, very beginning of the movie. He's like on the phone with someone and he's talking about the suburbs. And he says it in, again, I'm quoting Jordan Peele, but like he says it in his white voice, which is supposed to be foreshadowing for how we're going to hear him talk.
Got it.
In this scene. You know, again, his way of talking completely different in the beginning of the movie to how we hear him now.
Well, and I think that's why, like, I didn't even put that together because he looks so different and talks so different. Because when we meet him, his name is Logan.
Yes.
And so then, like,
the riverboat captain.
The riverboat captain.
Like, he takes, at this point, Chris, like, takes a break and he goes upstairs. And this is such a wild scene. I loved the way this played out because like he goes up the stairs and there's all these people in the house talking to each other. And the minute he reaches the top stair, they all stop and just stare at the ceiling. And they like watch him walk across the second floor.
Yes.
And it's like, what the fork is going on here?
Yeah.
Very Stepford Wives. And I think Jordan Peele said he was also inspired by just like a dream or nightmare he had where like that happened, like where he walked into a place and everyone just like went silent.
Yes. It's very eerie.
Yes. And I think before he leaves the party too, he does meet a blind art dealer.
Yes.
Who mentions that he loves his work. And I think this guy was kind of the most like real down to earth guest at the party where he didn't seem racist because he even was almost like calling everyone out on being that way.
Oh yeah.
He was, like he seemed like the one that's really tuned in, and
it was like he got to have like an actual conversation with him.
Yeah, but he did know who Chris was because he's been dealing art, and so he loves his photographs, but he had lost his sight over the years, so now instead of him being able to actually evaluate the photographs, he just relies on his assistant who just tells him that Chris's work is like super good.
In the commentary, Jordan Peele was like, the blind art dealer may have been a bit over the top.
I loved it.
I loved it.
I was like, no.
I loved it.
I loved it. I thought it was great.
Yes. So then there's the intense scene where they're back on the patio and Chris.
Well, I think he calls his friend, right?
He does call his friend. No, he goes to call him and he sees that the phone has been unplugged. But then he still plugs it in and he talks to his friend. And the reason why I remember this one so vividly is because there is a hilarious warning that the friend gives about like, you're in a bad situation, dude. You got to get out of there. This is like a Dahmer situation. And he's explaining how like Dahmer was, like what Dahmer did and how that's what's going to happen to Chris. And it was so funny.
That entire thing was improvised.
Nice. Was it really?
Yes, all the Jeffrey Dahmer stuff was completely added by him.
It was hilarious.
It was amazing.
I think a lot of his lines were improvised, actually. And I think they kind of realized like he was just kind of funny on his own.
Like, let him just do his thing.
Like they had lines for him, but then it was like, you know what? Like maybe try like a few other ones, and like so they let him kind of go free. And a lot of his improvised stuff made it, including the entire Jeffrey Dahmer talk.
Was like the sex slave thing also improvised? Because that kind of felt improvised a little bit.
I think the sex slave was in there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I think that one was.
But so then Georgina like comes into the room and she explains that, I'm sorry, I unplugged your phone because I went to clean the dresser and then I just realized like it accidentally came unplugged. And because he's thinking like, oh, they're trying to like make it that I don't have a phone. And the entire time she's talking to him, she is not blinking.
And her eyes are so wide.
Her eyes are so wide. But then he says something like being uncomfortable or something like that. Oh, I think he even says, I just get uncomfortable like when I'm around so many white people. And she just starts.
Like, he just says it as like a little thing, like, oh, it's just like kind of uncomfortable.
Like, so maybe I'm just a little edgy, because I'm. And she does this thing where
it's like her programming broke.
Yes. Because she's like equally laughing and crying. And then she just says the word no less than 20 times.
Yeah.
No.
Amazing.
Like, and I think Jordan Peele was like, say no as many times as you think is appropriate.
Yes, I love that.
It was like, we want you to say no a lot. You decide how many times.
I love that he just kind of, because you hear of some directors that are like, you don't go off the script. Ever. Like, I kind of like that he's like, let's vibe here. Let's see how it goes.
So good.
But her, and again, like we're getting like up close video of her that entire time. And like, you're seeing all the emotions play out. Like this scene like really does, like it like summarizes the whole movie. It's like everything that the movie's about, you get in that scene of her.
Yes.
Like changing her reaction. It was the actress, she crushed.
Yeah, she really did. It was very, very good.
So yeah, then he goes back downstairs and they're like on the patio, and he is listening to Logan, aka Andre, talk, and he like takes his phone out and is like incognito mode, trying to be. I was like, wow, you're really bad at being not obvious, but you know.
Yeah.
But he takes a picture and his flash goes off. And again, it's like his programming broke.
Yeah.
And he just like lunges at Chris.
And you see in Logan's eyes, again, didn't catch it the first time. I didn't even catch it the second time. I think I only noticed it in the director's commentary. The third watch, the eyes change. You see like a whiteness in his eye, and then it like fades to black.
Yeah, it almost seemed filmy or something.
Yeah.
Like
yeah, like we see it go away. And then that's when he
lunges.
Because at this point, that obviously
it's Andre, not Logan.
Dre, yeah.
So and then, you know,
get out.
Yeah.
That's what he says. Get out.
Yes.
Yeah. He's like,
literally
get
just
out.
Screams, get out.
But then we fast forward and Andre now comes out of the office. Or not Andre, sorry. It's Logan at this point. Comes out of the office with the mom. And she helped him calm down. It was a seizure, they're saying.
It's a seizure.
Which I was like, so why did the therapist go in with him and not the doctor?
Right.
If it was a seizure, why did the mom go in and not the dad?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyways, and you can tell that Chris is kind of like, I don't think seizures make you do that.
No, he's like, I have like a friend or family member or whatever that like has, that is not a seizure. That is not what they look like.
Well, I think, he's like he and Rose kind of go off and have like a little private conversation.
Yes.
And he, not only does he explain like, I know seizures, that's not a seizure, but he says, I don't know how to explain this, but I felt like the person that lunged at me, I knew him.
Yeah.
And he goes, and she's like, wait, you've met Logan before? And he goes, no, I haven't met Logan, but I knew the person that lunged at me. And it was like, it's like exactly like when you've seen someone and you can't quite place, like, where do I know you from?
And then they do something where it's like, oh, yes, I kind of recognize you now. Yeah,
exactly.
And this scene is like the perfect amount of back and forth where at first you can tell that she's kind of like, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what, she's like not being defensive, but she's almost being defensive. And then, he's like, I think I just want to leave. And she's like, oh, so you're just going to leave me. And, it's kind of that like tense moment between them. And then I think it gets interrupted and we go pan to what the parents are doing.
Yes.
Yeah, we see like a back and forth.
Yeah, it's like a back and forth. And so they now there's this gazebo and the dad is standing there and he's like holding up his hand in like different numbers. And then we see the audience is all the, friends, and they have these bingo cards that they're holding up.
And we have a giant portrait of Chris
standing next to the dad. And it's like, what?
Yeah. I remember when I first watched this, I was like, are they having a memorial? But what's the bingo about?
No, yeah, it looks like a memorial.
I did not put together that this was like a silent auction for Chris.
Yeah.
And that we see that it's the blind art dealer that wins.
Yeah.
But
and it goes back and forth. So there's a lot of tension because we're going back and forth between the two scenes. But yes, eventually the art dealer is the one that gets it. And it's kind of like, of course, even if we don't know what's going on, we're like, of course, that's going to be who got it. Right. Like,
but like, what do the numbers mean? Like, are we talking like millions?
I know.
I know.
It's like, it's like, again, just vague enough to be like, what is this?
Right.
This group of people.
Right. Because clearly this is very coveted technology to this group.
But then we go back to Rose and Chris, and he's like, "I'm sorry, I'm not going to abandon you. Like I did that to my mom. I'm not going to do that to you. I'm not going anywhere." And she's like, "Do you mean it?" And then they say they love each other, and then she's like, "You know what? Let's go. You're right. Let's go." And he's like, "Really?" And she's like, "Yeah." So they're like, "Okay, let's GTFO." So they just go back. They walk back, and it's kind of this cool scene where they're like kind of slow motioning, walking back to the house while all the party guests are like wrapping up. You can tell.
Oh yeah, they're all like leaving. And then we get the brother playing. What is he even playing?
Was it a mandolin?
It was like I thought it was like a banjo, but it was.
I thought it was a mandolin, but it could have been
small. Yeah, whatever he was playing. I guess there are some like theories online on like what he was playing and like blah blah. Jordan Peele was like, I literally told him to just like play something. There is no meaning behind this. There was no song that was associated
just
present or a slowed down version of whatever. Literally just told the actor like, I don't know, just like play something, make something up. So it's just him making stuff up.
Nice. But that felt very like Deliverance-y, where he's like,
yes,
again, like the plantation owner vibe. Like, I don't know, that's just all I got from him. Like, but they go upstairs and they're packing, and Rose is like, okay, I'm going to go get something, whatever it was. And he notices that like in her bedroom, there's this like cubby open. It's like a secret passageway. So it's like
a little door.
A little door is
the Harry Potter closet.
Yes.
He lets curiosity win.
I mean, honestly, I don't know that I wouldn't.
Oh, no, day one. Upon
Like,
arrival.
Yeah.
I would have looked
I'm such
into
a snoop.
the tiny door.
Oh, I know it. But he does, and there's this red box, and he opens it, and it's just all these cute selfies and pictures of Rose with her various Black boyfriends, and eventually one Black girlfriend, who is Georgina.
Yeah.
And the one of the boyfriends is Walter.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's kind of like, what the
heck? Well, and also Chris, right before he found that box, had called again his friend.
Yes.
And he didn't call him. He texted the picture of Logan to his friend and the TSA agent. I just kept writing TSA. So I never wrote his
Rob.
name. Okay.
Rod. Yeah.
I just like that I kept writing TSA.
TSA.
So TSA calls him and he was like, hey, that's Andre. Like, we know that guy. He like
went missing 6 months ago.
No, he didn't know he was missing.
Oh, I thought that Rod did. Okay.
No, not yet. Out. Yeah. Right now he's like, no, like we know him. He dated the girl who worked at the movie theater or like whatever. Like it was like, yeah, they're like, I know him. We know him.
And he's like, dude, they're going to turn you into a sex slave. You guys.
Yes. And he's like immediate sex slave, which like, and again, he's like not that far off.
He says this thing where he's like, man, you are an eyes wide shut situation.
Yes.
You need to get out. Like, I love that line.
I love Rob. So he's there to give us some comedic relief, you know, and I think it works.
So then she comes back in, but she can't find the keys.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of tension, and she's really going slowly, and he's like, you know what, let's do it on the move, let's go. And
he's like, nope, we gotta go, I will explain it in the car, we're leaving right now. And like she's looking for the car keys,
and so they go down the stairs, and Rose stays on the stairs looking through her bag. Her brother is standing by the door, and then her parents are just at the doorway right off.
And her brother has
like a lacrosse.
Yeah, it was a lacrosse.
Okay.
Yeah. And like standing in front of the door. So it's like, okay, this isn't good. This is not great.
And he just starts saying over and over, like, where are those keys, Rose? Like over and over. Where are those keys? Where are they? What's going on? Where are the keys?
At one point he yells, and he's been so like even tempered and mild, like the whole.
And all of his family is just standing there. Like they're not reacting. They're not engaging. They're just there. Like it's very.
Yeah. And I feel like watching the movie, like the first time, like I feel like there was still that like small bit of hope that Rose was on his side, even after seeing the pictures. Like it was like,
I had wrote a note where I was like, she has to be in on it, but it doesn't seem like she is. Like
but maybe she's not,
because her acting was too good.
Yeah.
And so then finally, at one point, he asks one more time, and she like opens her palm, and the keys are right there.
Yeah.
And her entire demeanor changes.
She becomes Roro.
Yep.
She's like, you know, I can't give you the keys, right?
Right.
Like, oh, knife to the heart.
And so I think at this point, he's like going to try to run away. And the mom just says, right?
She does the tap
the tea
on the
thing.
teacup.
Mm-hmm.
And
he like kind of attacks the brother. Like they get in like a very tiny kerfuffle, but then she immediately does the little tap tap. And like the way he falls
is like a board.
Yeah. Like just so like you got like the heaviness of that.
And even before he fell, like as he's being confronted with them, the dad is like, what a weird time to ask. He's like, what is your purpose? It's like, oh no. Oh no, they're going to show him his purpose. Oh.
Yeah.
The dad earlier in the movie made a comment that their basement had been sealed off because there was mold.
And he made an effort to say black mold. They did that several times.
Yeah.
And, you know, so of course we end up in the basement, right? And it's this like weird.
It's a crazy
It's almost like a country club smoking room.
Yeah.
Like an old school lodge.
And I guess they just found this room while they were like scouting for location. So like when they saw the lights, it was like, yes, whatever's going on here, we're using this room.
Creepy as heck.
Yeah, it's very like a you know, bourbon and cigar room in the old days kind of vibe.
Yes.
And he's like attached to the chair. He's shackled both his wrists and his ankles. And there's this like old school TV set, like 1950s old school TV set.
Yeah,
facing him, and
we get like a like an orientation video.
Yes, by like Roman Armitage is the name of the family.
And it's so weird, you guys. Like,
and he talks about, and so while we're seeing this too, we're also having like the scenes kind of mixed in of TSA realizing his friend is missing and like trying to call him over and over again. But yeah, then Roman Armitage explains about the coagula procedure. Which essentially is kind of like brain transplant. So like you're going to take the brain of somebody, in this case, all of these, you know, wealthy white people, and you're going to put them in the brains of somebody else. So far, the brains that we've seen them put into happen to be younger Black people. And it's like, holy shit.
Because we know that the dad is a neurosurgeon.
Yes. So yeah, he's a neurosurgeon and the mom is the psychiatrist, you know, that's hypnotizing them into this. Like we know the hypnosis contributes to it.
And then like he falls asleep and we go back to, you know,
because after the orientation video, it goes and it's a video of the teacup again.
Yes. Yeah, because it's just on the TV. So he just goes into it.
Back into the sunken place.
And so, you know, his friend calls him one more time, and this time Rose picks up. And I loved this scene. Like, this is where I was like, oh, this is like the height of her talent, because we're hearing her on the phone and she sounds so concerned and innocent, but her face, we then cut to her face and it's just like very stone cold.
No reaction.
Turned off.
It's
Nothing.
amazing. I don't know how you can make, like, she sounded like so panicked and stuff, but like her, like nothing in her face.
Unchanged.
Nothing. Yeah.
Amazing.
No, yeah. I don't know how
she won an Oscar.
Did that. Because it was, again, all the actors. Like,
I think he should have as well.
Yeah.
And she's trying to like act like Chris just left. And, you know, his friend is like, no, man, that doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, and so he's like doubting her. And then all of a sudden she like changes it to being like, well, it's just because like you like me and you're into me and you want to have sex with me. And he's like, no. Like he's like, don't you fucking dare pull this on me. Like he knows what she's doing immediately. And he's like, you evil bitch. Like
he like tries to start recording the conversation. Again, it's like Rob is like the friend we all like need to have. You know, and like when they first start talking, he's like, no, like you are not gonna get me. I'm gonna record this conversation.
Yep.
Yeah, but then she switches it up, and so
and then we see her parents now come into the same room she's in, and they like are making sure she's doing what she should, and they got away with it.
Yep.
But once after that phone call had happened, because also right before that, Rob had gone to the actual cops.
Right.
No
Oh my
offense,
gosh,
TSA.
yes.
Oh my gosh, this was so funny.
He goes to the actual cops and he brings, because he had been watching their dog, we should say. He'd been watching Rob's dog, Chris's dog. And so he brings the dog to the cops, and there's just this hilarious interaction where he's trying to explain what's happening, and he tells the whole theory about the sex slave thing, and the cops are just laughing at him and not.
Well, like we get like one fraction of a second of like maybe she's like, okay, hold on, and then he tells the story again to like now 3 cops. She like brought 2 other guys in, and then that's when they start laughing.
They just all laugh.
And she was just doing it to like entertain them.
Yeah.
So then, like, just because that had already happened, and then after the phone call with Rose, I like that he called it his TSA tingle.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I got the TSA tingle. Like, he knows something's up. He's got to go save his friend.
Well, I loved when he's with the cop, the like, lieutenant or whatever. He's like, listen, like, I've got my TSA training, which honestly, I think is probably even more than you guys get.
Yeah, no, he's like, I mean, we did the same training, detective.
And he was like, if anything, I got more. Like,
I got more because I have to deal with terrorists.
Right. That's amazing.
I love it so much. I love it so much.
So then basically we now are in the place where he had been scratching his chair. We had seen that.
Yeah, we'd seen it's like a habit.
And at this point, he is passed out again. And the brother comes in with a wheelchair.
No, first he gets to have another conversation.
Oh.
The TV turns back on.
Yes.
And it's the art dealer.
It's the art dealer is talking to him. And he tells him about the 3 phases. He's like, the first phase is hypnosis.
Yeah.
The next phase, the phase that you and I are currently in right now, is your think of it as a psychological pre-op.
Yes.
He's like, basically, we found our subjects, aka Chris, respond better to the procedure if they know what it is.
Which I have to say is a very clever way of working that in, because in so many horror movies, we, the audience, need to understand what's going on. And so the killer will explain it to the victim. And it's so unnatural because you're like, why the fuck would they be telling them this? Like,
I mean, I feel like, that's in like any movie, right? Like when the villain does his whole explanation.
Yes. But I like that this was like, the procedure works better if we do this. So I was like, okay, that was a creative way of working that.
That was good.
Yeah.
And phase 3 is transplantation.
And
he
not
explains,
the whole brain.
Right. He explains like you're going to have limited consciousness, but basically you're going to be a passenger and you're going to be in the sunken place. And then the man, like the art dealer, he's going to be like he chose him he chose Chris for his eye. Yeah. He's like, so basically you're my body, but I'm going to be the one in charge of it.
Yep.
Can I get into my shit real quick? Because this is when it
always.
I was like, this movie makes no sense unless I am completely misunderstanding the point. Why in the fork would, let's take her parents as an example. Why would 2 white people of high status want to become a maid and a gardener and also be in like a semi-limited consciousness because your brain is like not completely yours? Like, why?
They're not a maid and a gardener. That was just their thing for the visit.
But why would they turn them into that?
Right. Like, why wouldn't they?
Or like the guy, like the Andre guy who became Logan. Like, why, who took over him want to be this like dopey boyfriend?
I think it's all back to crime theory. It's a crime of opportunity. Sure. Yeah. Maybe would they rather be this like rich, young, famous actress or something? Maybe, but people are going to notice and people are going to do something about her being missing. Whereas if they choose more marginalized people, it's a higher chance that they're going to get away with it. I think it's a crime of opportunity.
I felt like I was like, that seems like such a downgrade.
Right.
From being old and frail to being like young and
but they can't, they're now limited. Like, yes, they can be themselves with just their family, but like they're not in society anymore. They have, for all intents and purposes, they have to stay at that house and pretend to be someone else. Like, I don't know.
I mean, eventually I feel like they could probably go out and stuff. Like that's, you know, it's like, I mean, again, it's like, oh, he went missing. It's like, he could just go back and be like, hi, I'm not missing.
Yeah.
This is me now. Like, I mean, I think it makes sense. Yeah. It's like, they just want to be young. And like, I mean, again, the party, like, it's like, oh yeah, like they just want to be cool. Like, that's why they want to be black. That's true. Like, that's literally like one of the guys comes up to him being like, fair skinned, you know, was popular for so long, but you know, black is in.
Black is
like,
in.
I think it's just old liberal white people who want to be cool. And they think they can be cool by being young and black.
I'll buy it.
It's very much also about like that racial fetishism,
yes,
which we will talk about in Psych.
Okay.
I think that's a huge part of it as well.
That might be the missing link.
Yeah.
For me. Okay. So yeah, it's that we now know this is what it is. And so the brother comes with a wheelchair to go get Chris.
Yeah.
Who they think is incapacitated because they played the part of the video where there's the teacup.
And he passed out.
But Chris is smart. And he didn't have any weapons that he could get because he's tied to the chair. But because he had this nervous habit that they showed even from the time when they had like the clips of him dealing with his mom having, you know, been killed, and he kind of waited a long time before he actually like went and told anyone. And he did this thing where he just scratched at the chair. And he did this again in this current captivity. And because he scratched at the chair, the fluff from the chair was exposed.
Yes.
So we see he had stuck it in his ears, so the hypnosis with the teacup didn't work.
Yes.
Brilliant.
So good. Well, and you know, again, Jordan Peele is very intentional, and that's like he has to like pick the cotton out to like save his life.
Yeah.
You know, like it's
picking cotton.
Yeah. Right. Very, very intentional with that.
There's a lot of symbolism.
Oh, there's so much symbolism in this movie. We could spend 4 hours talking about the symbolism in this movie. It's insane.
And the Easter eggs. And, yeah.
I have to say though, this next scene I love because like I so respected the fact that like he wanted to just kill them. Like there was no holdback. Like so often in scary movies, they'll like hit them, but they don't make sure they're dead. Well, he went after the brother with a pool ball and he just kept like getting him.
My gosh,
I was like,
yes.
Get him. I was like, yes, don't save him. Like totally get him.
Yeah. You get to this part in the movie and it's like, okay, this is like basically a thriller. And like now we just go full there are actually a lot of deaths in this movie.
And they were these next few were good.
Yes. So because we get the original one with the brother, where like he hits him with the bocce ball. They get in a little kerfuffle. We later realize he's not dead, but we get the little fight. And then we get, I mean, the next one I feel like was so just like, I don't know, it was satisfying. It was so like, how do you think of this, right?
Because like the dad was in the next room, which is a surgery room, and he had the old guy, and he had cut his like brain cap off, his skull cap, and so the guy is on the table with his brain open.
Yes,
and he's like waiting for Chris to get willed in.
But he realizes like it's like kind of running late. It's like it's been a while. Better go check outside. So he like walks out the room, and then you just see Chris coming, and he took the deer down. Which
there had been some shots of this deer earlier.
It was creepy. Yeah. And I mean, the deer had like giant antlers. So he just rams the dad in and kills him with the deer antlers, which like
amazing.
So creative.
Like one was in his mouth, like under his jaw. And, it was so good.
So good. So good.
And then we get the mom.
And we did see that like a fire had started in the surgery room.
Yes.
There was like a little fire after the dad died.
Yes. Oh, that's right. Yeah, like knocked over something.
Well, and at that point, I was like, well, shit. I was like, he should go put it out because like he needs all of this as evidence.
The evidence.
Like,
I totally thought the same thing.
Are you going to explain this to the cops if the house burns down?
I totally, yes.
Like they'll never believe you.
Mm-hmm. So I think next we get the mom, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. She's, of course, just creepily in a room. And she sees that he had gotten out. And it's like, she's at the one end of the room, kind of frozen, like, ooh, what do I do? And he's at the other end of the room, like frozen, like, ooh, what do I do? And they both notice the teacup
and spoon.
And it's like, ooh, who's going to get it first?
Yep.
And they both kind of get it at the same time, but Chris is able to like smack it.
Yes.
And it breaks on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, the brother comes back.
Well, the mom like goes to stab him.
Yeah, 'cause she gets a letter opener.
With a letter opener.
How could I have forgotten? This is
so good.
So she goes to get him, but he gets it from her. And
because she goes to stab, and so he just lets her stab him in the hand.
Yeah, he just holds his hand up.
She stabs him to the hand, and he then uses that to like turn her hand around while his hand is still stabbed. And we don't see exactly where he like stabs her, but it's like definitely through the eye.
Yeah, we know like, he gets her.
Oh,
he gets her.
Yeah, you don't really see it, but you hear it.
You do.
I just can't imagine. Like, I know that shock sets in at that point. Like, but it just goes like clean through his palm, and it's like,
and like you definitely see him react. Like, where it's like,
of course, yes,
like but it's it's good.
He perseveres.
Yeah. Then we realize brother still alive.
Yeah.
So he like comes, I think he like jumps. Oh, he jumps him in a chokehold.
Yep.
Yes.
Which we realize is what he had been what he was going to try to do earlier. So he like gets him in a chokehold, and Chris keeps reaching for the door. Like, I think he's like, if I can just like get to the door,
because he's so close.
Every time he reaches, the brother just like kicks it. And so I think this is supposed to be the callback because the brother talks about how he really likes a type of fighting. I forget which one it is.
Not Tai Chi.
It's not Taekwondo, is it?
Or Jiu-Jitsu?
Jiu-Jitsu, I think.
I forget if that's the one he liked.
It's like, one of those.
The one that he likes, he's like, oh, it's because it's like playing chess. You have to be like 3 steps ahead. And so this was supposed to be a callback where it's like, he realizes every time he opens the door, he kicks it. So we see that 3 times. And then he goes for the door again. And as he goes to kick it, he just stabs him right like the shin.
Yes.
So I think that's how he gets him off. And then he just like kicks him in the head.
Right. Beats him up.
Like you can tell that he's just like kicking his skull in. Like,
yeah, he's so done with this visit.
And like at this point, we go upstairs. We like pan to upstairs to Rose, and this music comes on. It's from Dirty Dancing.
I love that it was Dirty Dancing music.
Oh.
And she's got like her little headphones in.
Yeah.
And she's just like, again, she's Ro here, so it's like her hair is like pulled back. Her room is like spotless. Like everything is exactly where it needs to be. She's like sitting like very tall.
Totally like a statue, like a little cross-legged statue. And she's like scrolling Tinder, whatever that would have been. Like
it was like basketball pros. It was like,
I think it was like the NCAA like best of like
God.
So she's like trying to find like these athletes.
Her next
victim.
Yeah. And she's having a little snack while she's doing this.
So we should talk about
what we're sipping and crunching on.
Yeah.
So it's like on a little plate, like a little tray, and it's this big old glass of milk with a straw, and then a little bowl of Fruit Loops. And we see her just pick up a Fruit Loop and eat it, like very like with her teeth,
But it's one Fruit Loop.
It's like just a little Fruit Loop at a time.
And she like bites down on it.
Honestly, you guys, I want to eat Fruit Loops, like dry Fruit Loops.
Smell them.
Yes.
I was like, oh my gosh, the nostalgia.
I actually do like eating dry cereal as a snack. but I just eat it, not then with
like a serial
glass.
killer. Yeah, and then she picks up her glass and she holds it perfectly, and she puts her mouth on it just so perfectly, and she takes a few sips of her milk.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh my God, you're the scariest one of all of them.
She really is, though. Like, she actually is the worst one. It's like, who would do this in this way?
So that's what
like this.
That's what we're sipping and crunching on. So get yourself a bowl of Fruit Loops, get yourself a glass of milk with a straw, and eat them and drink it in the creepiest way that you can.
Yeah.
Yes.
So now we're back to Chris. He grabs the keys off of her brother.
Yes.
And goes out to the car. And this is when we see that his car was the car from the beginning of the movie that abducted, now we know, Andre.
Yep. So they have different approaches, you know.
And
the
also,
sister dates someone for 5 months and then brings them back home, and he just grabs people off the street.
Yep.
You know.
And I had made a note about this because earlier in the movie, when they were talking to the cop asked for his license, and he said that he didn't have one. He had a state ID. So I was like, oh, he doesn't drive. Like, I was wondering if he was going to be able to figure out car,
how to drive.
But they made a point of telling us that he didn't have a license. Like,
were they in New York City?
So I think they're intentionally vague.
Yeah.
Okay. Like they intentionally don't say, but like to me, it gave New York. Then that felt like driving to upstate New York, right? Like I feel like that's what it felt like.
That's kind of what
I just wasn't sure if that would be a thing. It wasn't. He knew how to drive. Yeah. It was fine. He got in the car, but at this point, Rose hears the car.
Yes.
And she's kind of like, what? And at this point, when he was leaving the house, we saw smoke in the background.
The smoke is starting to fill the house a bit.
Yeah.
And so he starts to drive away, but someone gets in the way.
Well, and he's distracted because he's trying to call 911.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's calling 911.
Yeah. So he's trying to call someone, and then he kind of accidentally hits Georgina with his car. And
she's just there all of a sudden.
We know him. We know his history. We know his trauma.
Because he's like, I can't leave her.
I think we didn't really talk about this when he was having his little heart to heart with Rose. Before they were deciding, like he was saying, I want to go, and she's like, oh, you're just going to leave me, and then she just said, we didn't talk about how he did kind of confess to her a little bit more of his story, and I think he also maybe said this a little bit to the mom too, or when his mom, it was like a hit and run. His mom got hit and he just did nothing. He was kind of just like paralyzed with fear. But he found out later that she wasn't dead instantly. So if he hadn't sat there and watching TV, and of course he's a little kid, like he's a little baby. He doesn't know what to do. He can't process it. He did the best he can, but he feels guilty because he knows as an adult now, maybe if he had called 911 sooner, or if he hadn't just like kind of left her there, she would have survived.
Yeah. And it's created this like genuine PTSD reaction from her, because it happens when he's with her mom before she hypnotizes him, where like his body genuinely like freezes and he actually like can't, like it's a actual response. And so when he hits Georgina, you can see that it's starting, and he's like yelling at himself. He's like, don't freeze, like don't do it.
Do it.
So I think he gets out of the car and grabs her and puts her in the car as his way of like not letting it freeze him, because he knows otherwise he'll die.
Yeah, exactly. And we pan to Rose and she's like, Grandma.
I know.
So we know who Georgina really is.
And I was like, oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. So Grandma wakes up, unfortunately. They get in the car and she like wakes up and she's like, you're destroying my house. Like she's like, says something along those lines, right?
She's mad about the house.
Yeah. And forces him to crash the car. So they both crash. And the crash kills Georgina.
Yes.
So I think that was the least creative death.
I agree
in this one,
but I guess somewhat poetic because his mom died in a car crash.
Yeah, so we get the
right.
But then, oh, I was just gonna say, but then the grandpa gardener comes out
and Rose.
And Rose.
Yeah, because Rose has a shotgun.
Yeah.
And I do feel like in here we see on the gardener, because I want to call him Walter because I forget the grandpa's name.
Oh, I only
Roman.
I forget.
Oh, Roman.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
But so we see on him, we see this like very distinct scar, which we never had seen before because he was always wearing his hat. And even Logan wore a hat. And there had been a scene before where we saw Georgina, and when she was like checking herself out, thinking she was so great in the mirror, she did this weird kind of like adjustment of her hair, and it was almost like a wig or something.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden you see the evidence that they're all like
they've all had the surgery.
Yeah, could put whatever it was called.
Yeah, I forget what the thing was called. Coagulated.
Thank you.
And at this point, this was my only one moment that I was like, all right, that was a little cringe. But, you know, he starts running. And so then, you know, Rose and Walter, aka Roman, she's like, go get him, Grandpa.
Get him, Grandpa.
I was like, okay, that felt stupid, but I'll let that one go.
Yeah.
And so he does, like, he's like chasing him down.
He like tackles him.
Yeah.
But Chris knows how to wake him up.
He sure does.
He pulls out his phone, flashes him.
There's a little flash. And you see his nose start to bleed, which is what we had seen with Logan/Andre earlier. But I don't think Rose realizes what has happened. So he's like, let me do it, asking for the gun. And he shoots Rose. The gun. Shoots Rose. She doesn't die here, but shoots her right there. And then we see him turn the gun, and it's like, oh no, is he still somehow going to kill Chris? But he turned it on himself.
Yeah. Which totally fair. I was like,
because here's the thing. I think in that moment, it wasn't even about that he just couldn't live like this anymore. He needed to kill Grandpa.
Yeah.
So like it was totally about just Grandpa needs to die.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
we have no idea how long he had been.
The video and when the family was doing the video for the first time, there is one scene where they all come out on the front of their house and the kids were really young. So like, they discovered this a long time ago.
But then you wonder, is Walter, like, is he, what number of people is
like,
he
was he
Grandpa?
the first? I would imagine they wouldn't do the Grandpa first. I think there would be a lot of trials.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But I mean,
trial and error.
Once they got it going, like, how many bodies has Grandpa been in? Like, I think Walter is not the first Grandpa. The second Grandpa. He's probably like the third or fourth.
Maybe.
Yeah. Honestly. Yeah.
But then we see Rose, like, kind of coming to. She's like, help me. Like, she's like, Chris, I love you. And she's like trying to pretend that she's old Rose and she loves him. And he's bent over her and he just puts his hands around her neck. And this is just such an intense scene because like strangling is one of the like most difficult and intimate ways to kill a person. In case you need to know that, because it actually takes a really long time. Like it's really drawn out. It's not quick. And also our hand strength is not typically that intense. So like most of us don't actually have the hand strength to strangle someone to death.
I feel like you know a lot about this, Brie.
Yeah,
I actually do.
That was a lot of information.
I actually do. You know, Laura goes to suspension parties. I go to strangling parties.
Oh,
so,
that's for sexy sips.
Yeah, sorry, sexy sips. Save that for the subscription only. But then all of a sudden, he sees cop lights.
Well, and then before the cops, too, like he's choking, and then she does the creepiest freaking smile.
Yes.
Like she's like, haha, I actually won because you're doing this. And so he stops. He's like, I'm not going to do this.
Like, it's almost like, haha, you proved me right, who you really are by strangling me.
Yeah.
Oh, like in his head.
So gross.
Yeah.
But that's when we see the cop lights
approach. And like, I mean, again, like everyone knows this movie is like amazing, but it's like, talk about just like, I mean, that was so well done. It's like there's always the scene where the cops show up at the end of the horror movie, right? But
Well, right.
your heart just sank when you saw
because I
lights.
think like it was the perfect situation of a young Black man being over a young white woman and a cop pulls up. Like it was so racially tense in this moment.
Because
there's so much like, fuck, they're
like
gonna kill him.
Stands up, right, and like puts his arms up. Rose is like giddy.
Yeah, and she's like, help me.
Oh, like it's
and right before that too, like she had gone to reach for the gun, so Chris grabbed it, so gets his fingerprints all over the gun, and it's just like there's no way this doesn't look awful for Chris.
Yeah,
even though we just watched everything happen.
Yeah, again, just the social commentary, the fact that like I think almost everyone who watched this movie knew that when the cop showed up, it wasn't good. Right, you know, like we all saw. And it was like, oh, fuck. No. Yep. We know what this means. Like, you know. And they gave us just long enough to sit with this. But then we see the door open.
It's his friend, Ron.
And it's an airport vehicle.
It's the TSA, baby. And you're like, fuck yeah. And the minute he steps out, Rose is like, fuck.
Yes.
Like, yes. And so like he just goes over to him and they basically just leave her.
They just leave her to die.
Yeah. He's like, he's like, because at the TSA, we handle shit.
But their little conversation in the car was that was when I was like, the TSA propaganda is amazing.
I love how Rob is like, he's like, I told you not to go. Like, there's all these murdered people strewn about. And he's like, I told you not to go.
He was like, look, man,
I told you.
I didn't want to say it, but I told you.
I told you so.
Amazing. And then so this is what I wrote down in the quote, but maybe I wrote it down wrong. But I think he says like, you know, Chris says like, how did you find me? Like, how are you here? And he goes, I'm TS motherfucking A. We handle shit. So I'm like, that's perfect. I'm TS motherfucking A.
It's so and good. Then the ending music, I don't know if you also have this fun fact. This is like one of the only ones that I knew, but the song, they had wanted like a really like traditional African song. So it's in Swahili, but the only word that isn't is brother. And that was to like tie in to like the dad using it. And then even Rod called Chris that. And like, so I thought that was really cool the way that the like final song tied it all in.
Yes. Now that you mention it, I remember the commentary because it is in Swahili, but I think it translates to like listening to your ancestors about like getting the fuck out.
Nice.
Like I'm pretty sure it's like,
I mean, amazing.
Yeah.
Brilliant. I love that. I love that. Oh, and that's it. That's the movie.
Roll credits.
I love it.
So good.
Now there is an alternate ending, which they did film. So I watched the alternate ending. The alternate ending, I think was a bit darker. Like I'm kind of happy they kept it how they did. But in the alternate ending, you get, it's very, very similar. Everyone is dead. You know, Chris is on top of her. The cop car shows up. It's actually cops. Okay. It's not Rob. Okay. So it's just police officers that show up. So the cops show up. They arrest Chris. Okay. The next shot is prison. We see Rob is visiting Chris in like the visiting area, and like Rob is like trying to like help him. He's like, tell me like what happened. Let's try to like figure this out. And Chris is kind of like, look, like I got him. Like I put a stop to this. And walks back to his cell. And as he's like walking back to his cell, that's where we get the fade to the end credits. So that was the other ending that they had.
You know, okay, so that's hard because like I am glad that we as the audience got that victorious ending of like, yes. But that is fucking dark.
Yeah.
And
it's a little more grim.
Accurate though. And I think actually has a lot of like commentary behind it. And I think like a lot more like social conversation you could have.
Yeah.
So I see how that actually could be really cool.
Yeah.
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 But I feel like I love the way that it ended.
Well, and my only thought is like, you know, you can only say this like so many times. It's like, to me, the pause we get when the cops show up
is enough.
Like, that's enough. Like that was enough commentary. It was like our expectations when we saw the cop show up was like, oh damn, that is telling of the world that we're in.
Like we got
where we
that
all
effect.
jumped.
And
then the twist was that it was like, surprise, it's actually someone helpful.
Yay, the TSA.
It just felt so good the way it ended. It left me feeling really good.
Yeah. No, totally.
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely more grim, which I don't know. Maybe there's, I don't know. I like the ending, but maybe it's because it was happy.
Though. Like we did still get that in this one. Yeah. Okay, so it's funny. Like I've mentioned before when we're like watching it that I'm always like, what's Laura gonna do? But especially this time, I was like, what is she gonna do?
Actually, though,
I got a few places we're gonna go.
Are we ready?
Yeah.
All right, just remember, she is not a real doctor. And that's it. I just like,
but that's okay.
Completely.
And that's kind of it. That's the whole.
I'm not a real doctor. That's the motto. That's the motto of my life. I'm not a real doctor.
It's not a real doctor. So don't take this as medical advice.
Correct. Yeah. So we have some places to go. And I feel like we could have about a 10-hour conversation about the psych of this movie. But I'm going to focus just on a few things. We're going to go from easiest to tackle to hardest to tackle.
Nice. Ease our way into it.
Yeah. Ease us into this.
So to start, we're going to just do a dream analysis. So I feel like for most of the time, there was no dreams, but Chris himself did say when he said to Rose, he said, I had the craziest dream. And how he phrased it, he said, like, I was in this hole and I couldn't move. So we're going to talk about a dream where you're kind of like floating in a hole and you can't move. So a hole signifies in waking life, are you in some untenable position or situation you cannot climb out of? That's exactly what my dream book said. And then what's really interesting, dreaming about like being paralyzed or not being able to move. So when you have dream, like when you are paralyzed, like when you're sleeping, that is part of REM sleep when we're immobilized. So what's really interesting is people do not have nightmares typically when they are tossing and turning, because when you're tossing and turning, that's when you're in the stage where you're not dreaming, actually. That's when you're in a different phase of sleep. So it is more rare to have like where you're dreaming, but you're paralyzed, which we've talked about before. Like I have dream paralysis and like some people do, but that's not typical. But if you dream about being paralyzed, it could be related to emotional paralysis. So you're feeling helpless in a situation. It could be a situation that you are caught between like maybe two opposing influences. So I think Chris was dreaming about, does he stay or does he go? Like, does he stay with this woman that he loves or does he get out and he feels like this is a situation he cannot climb his way out of? So that's what his dream means. Next topic. Because I think that was really
that was in the dream journal. I love that everything's in the dream journal.
That was all in the dream journal. I loved it. I loved how it was like talking specifically about like when you are dreaming about being paralyzed, you cannot be in REM sleep. And I'm like, but you can because I've been it. But anyway. All right. Next topic, brain swapping.
Ooh.
Here we go.
Okay.
So let's talk about that coagula procedure and the problems with it. So the coagula procedure is this idea that a person's consciousness, or like kind of who makes you, like your thoughts, your personality, and your memories, can be transplanted into another brain.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler alert, that can't happen. So let's talk about why not. So consciousness, it's not like this file that you can just transfer. It's made up of complex neural pathways and networks, and memories specifically. I feel like that's such a huge part of what makes you who you are, kind of your way of thinking and your memories. And they're stored in neural pathways, and those are not transferable. So like you can't have this neural integration between two different brains. It's just not, it just doesn't work that way. Specifically, why is that each brain's neurons are wired in a unique pattern, so you can't sync with another person's existing neural network, because like each one in and of itself was made in such a unique way that you couldn't combine them because they wouldn't match.
I have to disagree.
But you can't sync brains?
Because Sabrina the Teenage Witch and Hilda and Zelda were able to swap brains. So it obviously can be done.
You know, I am about to, in just a few moments, talk about some actual real world examples of brain swap.
Okay.
But you're right. I mean, Sabrina the Teenage Witch is what we should all understand our life through.
Reference our reality too.
The lessons taught in that show. So you're correct. I'm wrong. This is why I'm not a doctor.
Yep.
So since brains develop uniquely based on your personal experiences, like you can have the exact same brain, you put it in one person's body in one situation, another person's body in another, and you're obviously not then going to become the same person. Because experiences, it's like the nature versus nurture debate.
Right.
And those twin studies I think we talked about in a really early episode. So even if your brain tissue were to be transplanted, the new brain would it wouldn't function in the same way because it hasn't had the same experiences. So and also, just since the brain and the body develop together, like things like muscle memory, reflexes, and other motor skills, they're encoded into your specific neural pathway. If you then put a new brain in there, you literally wouldn't be able to move your new body. Also, your body would reject and attack it. So the brain tissue is different than other organs. And so your immune system would just like super attack it.
I was going to, because like there's all the other organs are transplantable.
Exactly.
And I know their rejection is a thing, but.
Right. But specifically with brains, and I'll talk about how we know this.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So
I'm scared.
It's very different than other organs where it's like super attack. Like you like at this point you cannot survive it. And kind of as I was mentioning earlier, your new brain wouldn't recognize your body or be able to control it like in the movie. So, Grandpa would not be able to control Walter because his brain hasn't developed with that body, so it just wouldn't connect. And another thing is that, okay, so consciousness is a really kind of like, it seems like an abstract topic, but your thoughts, your memories, the way you perceive the world, it's not just one little part of your brain or a few little parts of your brain. It requires your whole brain to do that. So this experiment, it's like you wouldn't just be able to put part of like Grandpa's brain into Walter. Like you'd have to have two full brains in one person's head in order for that dual consciousness to happen.
Yeah.
So physically, like you couldn't happen unless they like all have giant heads. Right? Like, and even then it won't work. But there are examples of people trying to make a similar thing happened. So not the total coagula, but a similar thing. So there was this neurosurgeon, Robert White, and he transplanted a monkey's head onto another brain onto another monkey's body.
Okay.
Dun, dun, dun.
So what's fascinating is, I think it was a rhesus monkey, which is like pretty common in like experiments. The monkey retained consciousness, but was paralyzed because they had to sever the spinal cord.
Sorry. Oh, what kind of monkey?
A rhesus monkey?
Like I thought you said a racist monkey.
I mean, that would be fitting for this. For this
like that
movie.
took me that long to. I was like, no,
Those
like,
are pretty common.
no way she said that. So, but, like, I don't know monkey types.
Racist monkey.
We took one monkey that was racist and one that wasn't.
That would be so fitting for this movie.
That's amazing.
A rhesus. Like, and it's not Reese's.
Like
like
peanut butter cups.
Peanut butter cup. No, it's it's spelled different. It's a rhesus monkey.
We're devolving very quickly. I don't know.
Like a monkey. Okay.
It's a monkey.
Okay, so because you had to sever the spinal cord to put the one monkey's like head brain on top of the other ones, the monkey was paralyzed from the neck down.
Mm-hmm.
But the new monkey could still hear, smell, taste, eat, and follow objects with its eyes.
Weird.
Oh, yeah.
It died like it was either 9 hours or 9 days because its body attacked the new brain. They were like, "What is this bullshit?" Attack.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense that our bodies like wouldn't love that.
Yeah, they're like, "No, don't do that.
Don't do this." Yeah.
But then what's really interesting, so then this Robert White dude, he's dead now, but the guy who like did this experiment, like his goal, at least according to Wikipedia, was that he wanted to do this to Stephen Hawking and Christopher Reeve, to like be able to like put their brain on a body that
on a racist monkey.
On a racist monkey.
Yes.
Like that was what he wanted to do. Like we are so far away from that technology.
That's crazy. Yeah.
But that's what he wanted. So really the closest thing we have to this coagula procedure is BCI, or brain computer interfaces. And this is kind of what like, I don't even want to say his name.
I know.
Don't.
Starling.
Just don't.
Is like trying to do. Mm-hmm. So it's the closest thing we kind of have right now, but really that's just about, and that's more about like helping people that have paralysis being able to have, you know, a more functional body. Mm-hmm. But that's just recording and then transmitting brain signals. It doesn't actually relate to consciousness. Like you're not able to transfer your consciousness. Even like putting your brain into a computer, that then just becomes a simulation. Like you don't have consciousness of that.
Right, it's not an actual.
Like that's not a thing that's happening already. But even if it were, you're not then living as the machine. So
yeah,
it's not possible
yet.
Okay, so then final, more complicated topic. It's a light little topic. Racism.
Just light.
Talk about that.
Talk about those monkeys.
So yeah, let's talk about those monkeys. So just to kind of summarize some of the racism. I am not trying to be an expert in this. I'm not saying I am. I'm just saying some of the things I noticed in the movie and relate it to how I feel like the psychological background of some of these characters went down.
Yeah.
But it is not comprehensive.
Right.
I have never, I cannot experience the experience of these characters or the people that wrote this movie. Just some thoughts.
Yeah.
So the first is, we saw a shit ton, we've already talked about this, of microaggressions.
Yes. Which honestly, like, I feel like can sometimes be hard to like explain what that is.
Yeah.
Like, to verbalize it, but the movie like nailed it.
Yeah.
So to try to explain what they are, they're subtle, sometimes unintentional, but they're subtle. They're discriminatory comments or behaviors that reinforce stereotypes and often make the people that are being stereotyped or marginalized people just feel really uncomfortable in a situation.
Mm-hmm.
or out of place. So a lot of times this is like casual racism disguised as admiration. Like, I would have voted for Obama. You're so strong.
Yeah.
Black is in. Things like that.
Right. Black is in. Oh, I love Tiger Woods.
Yeah, I know, right? Like,
that's coming up in the next one. So that one is also like talking about other Black people, like or people of whatever subgroup that you're discriminating against is like, yeah, you just talk about like, oh yeah, I know Tiger Woods, I have Black friends, things like that.
Yeah.
When you never done that with a white friend.
Yeah,
exactly.
I love Cher. Like, what?
Oh my God, I love
Cher.
Well, and that's the whole point of it is like, and we'll get into this in just a minute, but it's like you would never say that to someone who you don't perceive as an out group. And we'll talk about what an out group is in just a minute, but people only do that with people they perceive as an out group. Even if their intentions are good.
Yeah.
Which sometimes they are, but
a lot
of times it's just ignorant.
Yeah.
And another microaggression we see in this one is like starting to speak in ways or accents that you think that quote unquote out group would speak.
Like
so like saying like like is somebody said something about thang.
Yeah.
In the movie, and it was just so awkward and cringe.
Yeah.
And again, it's
right.
Yeah.
So we also saw quite a bit of racial fetishism and objectification. So the Armitage family really they basically treated Black people as like their bodies are superior, but only as it pertained to how they could exploit those bodies.
Yes.
Yes.
So it really is just like then treating people as objects. And it just gets at this tokenism and this commodification. So like they say that they admire Black culture, but then they reduce every person of color that they interact with just by their like physical traits or their like athleticism or like their stereotypical what they're good at. So it's really just completely objectifying this group of people. Another way we saw racism in this movie is we've already talked about like this liberal racism.
Right.
Yes.
Or another way to put this would be like this performative liberalism.
That's the word.
Well, because I think Jordan Peele, like he at least started thinking about this movie or like the idea for it during Obama's first term. So the movie didn't come out until 2017, but that's when he like got the idea. And so like he said like the idea was like, we got Obama as president and it was like, look guys, we fixed racism.
Yes.
Oh, that's it.
Look how good we did.
We figured it out. We're all done. Like that. Right. And, that's why he kind of wanted to take a jab at like the liberal side of this.
Totally.
Exactly. Because really it is like the Armitage, whatever. The family, it's like they're quote unquote trying to prove their lack of racism, which is really just a mask for this deeply ingrained entitlement that they feel they have over Black people.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's just a farce. It's just a cover. And it really highlights how modern racism is often, it's like insidious and it's masked under this like pretense of being progressive. So it like really, really heavy topics that we cannot do justice by going like too deep into them. But just I wanted to like touch on them a little bit.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, it's crazy how much this movie is able to touch on,
It is.
Right? Like the fact that it took all of this,
Yes.
and put it into a movie.
Totally.
Yes. And like did it in a way that was consumable to people.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I think if you're too confrontational about it, then no one will hear it. Or if you're too lighthearted about it, then it doesn't have enough impact, like severity of what is true.
Yeah.
Right. So then I also busted out a textbook.
Oh my God.
I busted out my social psychology textbook, which I haven't done since some of the early days of Spooky Sips.
Yeah, that's true.
And so, because when I was just like internet searching and they were talking about like how this family is kind of like this example of modern racism, it was a glossary word. Like it was a bolded word in my textbook so modern racism, they called this subtle form of racism that surfaces when it is safe, easy to rationalize, or socially acceptable to do. So it's basically like, while the overt system of racism is sometimes frowned upon, I'm saying sometimes because I feel like there's been a little bit of a backswing.
Yeah.
A lot of a backswing.
Yeah.
But in theory, I guess, overt racism is now considered not good. But in this family, even though, that overtness is not there anymore, that this is how my textbook phrased it. The underlying disease is still there. I was like, oh, that's a great way to refer to racism.
Yeah.
Because it comes from people wanting to see themselves as like fair and cool, like the dad, like, oh yeah, like I'm cool, I'm liberal, but they still have these feelings of anxiety or discomfort around other racial groups, and they don't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
So then when they're in these groups, like the family's party, where everyone is racist and okay with it, all of a sudden it's almost like amplifying what they're saying. Because they're like, oh, well, like you were saying, Ivette, like everything that someone said was worse than the next person. Because it's like, oh, someone gave that little bit of an opening for it to be okay. And then the next person was like, oh, well, then I can say something, and then I can say something worse, and blah, blah, blah. So some of this comes from, again, my textbook calls it this outgroup homogeneity effect.
That's what I would have called it.
Yeah, for sure.
But this is actually a really interesting psychological trait that people tend to have, is where you have this tendency to assume that there's a greater similarity among members of a quote unquote out group versus your in group.
Interesting.
So in this case, it would be like the white family, they don't have to talk about knowing. I'm trying to think of a white person.
Like, do you ever watch any of like the Billy on the Street? You know, like
yes.
Is that like amazing? But where for $1 name any woman. Where it's like, oh God, I don't know,
a white person.
So like they don't have to point out to other white people that they know, like Brandon, you were saying, they don't have to say like, I know Cher or I know Bill Clinton or whatever, because they already
have white friends.
I have white friends. Exactly. Because they already see that there's so many differences among their quote unquote in group that they don't have to specify it. But whether they recognize it or not, they then perceive people in out groups to be mostly the same.
Yeah.
So like they have to specify that they maybe know someone from an out group because they assume all Black people are going to relate to the fact that they voted for Obama.
Yeah, we'll all like Obama, right?
Or that they know they met Tiger Woods or whatever. So they assume that they're all the same, whereas the white people they have more subtle differences, which is totally untrue.
Yeah,
right. But it is a psychological phenomenon that happens.
Honestly, social psychology is so interesting. Like
interesting.
It's such an interesting field where it's like, I don't know. It's like, I don't know. We humans, like, we're so silly, you know, where it's like you put us with a group of other people and it's like everything can completely change. Like
we don't know how to act.
Completely different. We don't know how to act.
Exactly.
Like, Lord.
Yeah.
Well, and then this is getting like a little bit like more heavy, but so many people are like that.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, not so many people, just people are like that.
Right.
So if you refuse to talk about or acknowledge that happens, then that can get you into trouble, kind of like this family, who I think really like one of their biggest issues is that they suffer from social dominance orientation.
Ooh.
Which is it's this desire to see your own in-group as dominant over others. And so because you want to see yourself as better, you'll have this willingness to adopt cultural values that really facilitate this oppression of those that you perceive as others.
Yeah.
So that's where I think the main motivation of this family is coming from. Even though they're trying to pretend like they see the people that they've snatched the bodies of, they pretend that they see like, oh, you're so strong. Oh, you have better builds or whatever. No, that's just this fetishism that they really perceive themselves as being better. And that's why they feel like they have the right to take advantage of them.
Totally. It's like by being like, I'm not racist at all. Like, well, no, I probably am racist. Like by like being like, no, I think this is great. Like Black people, I love Black people. Look at how athletically they're built. Like,
yeah, it's like,
and then being like, I love Obama. Like, oh my gosh.
Right. I love that it's like, 3 times they mentioned like, oh, I would vote for him a 3rd time. Like,
I know.
But like if you can have they're hard conversations to have, but if you can have conversations where you realize the actual psychology behind it, it's not that humans, well, maybe they are, but it's not that like we're doing it for evil, nefarious purposes, but it is a evolutionary thing to try to want to put people in groups. It helps you survive. But then if you can't check that and realize, okay, I've now stopped using it for survival and I need to question what my brain is automatically doing, then it leads to this like bullshit racism that we have.
Totally.
Yeah. So there's a white girl's opinion.
Signing off as a white girl.
Asterisks, because this is not my experience. I am not the expert.
Right.
This is just my attempt to explain a little bit of psychology that I think
we get
would apply.
The psych.
Yep.
The psych behind it. We get what the textbook is telling us.
No, there is plenty of info out there. You can find it from the source. Yes. So, I mean, no.
Well, and that's part of why I went to my textbook, because I was like, Google's going to be like
there's an overload there.
Rough. And I was like, and I kind of want to go back to, and this textbook is like not quite 20 years old, but I thought I want to go back to like what was said back in the day. And guys, it still holds true.
Yeah.
Like it still makes so much sense. And it's about just like research and psychology, not these like skewed platforms that are like echo chambers. And that's what I wanted. I was trying to find something like
get like the actual textbook. No, I think that was perfect for this.
This is like a mild tangent, and I'm going to sound like a really old lady, but back in my day, I remember when we were like learning how to look up things on the internet to know if it was like real and reliable or not. And I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, I can't even imagine how you do it now. Like it's so and things that say they're real and like how do you sort it out? Like
it's crazy.
Shit, that's got to be hard. The internet had just been invented when I was growing up.
Back in my day.
It's true though.
No, but the old internet was so much better. Like, I don't think people understand. Like, it was so much better.
I know.
People were doing everything just for the love of doing it.
It's
Forums
ruined now.
were awesome. Like, it was the old
internet was a mistake.
AOL Instant Messenger was amazing. Chat room.
God. I chatted with so many elderly men as a 13-year-old.
So many random people. It was a different time.
I met this boy in a chat room once and we fell in love, of course.
I bet.
Of course. And so we chatted all the time. But of course we like this makes me sound so old, but we did have the one computer and it was kind of under the stairs in that house in New Hampshire.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And so and it was like you had to take turns because there was only one. But I was, like just in love with this boy. But then we decided, because we had such strong feelings for each other, we were going to like mail each other pictures.
Oh my god.
That was the way to share pictures, because you couldn't just send a picture.
Yeah, you can just send it
in the chat room. So we gave each other. This is probably so dangerous. So we gave each other
100%.
Like as a minor, and he's probably this like 40-year-old.
Well, he says he was a minor, and he sent me pictures.
Oh,
Of course he did.
And so he sent me like printed out 3x5s from like
a magazine
millimeter film. What?
Like from a magazine?
No,
like
it was like he took pictures.
Adelia's model.
Oh my
No,
god.
he just looked like some normal dude.
Yeah.
And so he sent me pictures. And so when I got them, I sent him pictures. And you guys, I agonized because you couldn't see the pictures. I had like a camera that like you take the pictures, then you go take it to get developed. You have to wait 3 to 5 days.
Yeah.
Get it back. So I sent him my finest 3 pictures.
Mm-hmm.
I never heard from him again.
Oh, damn. Cold.
Ouch.
Cold. Do you remember his screen name?
I don't. I wonder if I have it written down somewhere.
You do. Dear diary.
Oh, it was brutal.
Ice cold. Oh my god.
Oh, it was brutal. I think that was the beginning of my self-consciousness. No, I was self-conscious well before that.
You were self-conscious in the womb.
Yeah, I was.
Wow, interesting.
So anyway, there's my psych.
Love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I think I shared a lot of my fun facts, but I'll go
had some good
through
ones
and see if there's any other like little ones. Oh, the movie was shot in Alabama, which like
okay.
so random. So yeah, the little like apartment, they just kind of wanted to make it feel like a city, you know, so they somehow gave you that city feel. But he like specifically did not want to give a location. And Jordan Peele even talks about like, he specifically didn't want to make it a like Republican state. Like he was like, I don't want it to be where you would like expect a different type of racism. He wanted it to be vague on where it was.
I like that.
And I think, yeah, like for me, I just assumed it was like, oh, New York, and they're driving out to like New York State. Like
that's what, like upstate, like right.
Yeah.
That's what I thought too, but yeah.
But yeah, shot in Alabama. The airport scenes were actually shot at a cruise ship terminal. So, you know, kind of a cheap way to get a terminal.
Okay. I like that.
Because it did look like it. Like,
totally.
Did. But yeah, it was for cruise ships.
I thought a little bit like it looked like a bus station instead of an airport once, but okay.
They shot it in 23 days.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Because it was his first movie.
Oh my gosh. How do you even pull that off?
Obviously, he had done like TV before, but like that's crazy. 23 days. And like he talked about in the commentary, there's like a random scene. I think it's the scene where we very first see the family, where it's like kind of far away and you see just like them all meeting at the front porch. And he like that's what he wanted, was that wide shot, but like just in case he did like a couple closer up ones. And he was like, that was like half a day that they wasted doing that. Just like that one scene, like, do you film it up close or do you film it far away? Like just to get it. So it's like the fact that they had 23 days.
Wow. That seems really fast.
That's impressive. I think that just probably again speaks to the amazing acting.
Oh, right?
Like being able to do it that
for sure.
That fast, yeah.
Apparently they filmed next to like, I think it was like an airport or an Air Force base. So it was like really loud when they were filming. So I think their audio people had a lot of work cut out for them to like cut out all of that extra audio, which I didn't catch at all. So I think they did a good job.
Not at all.
Oh, Jordan Peele has 2 cameos in this movie.
Oh, I was wondering.
Yes.
I don't think I noticed.
He has 2 cameos. They are extremely hard to catch.
Okay.
I was going to say, like, I feel bad I didn't notice.
No, and if you did, that would be kind of crazy.
Okay.
One, he is the voice of the dying deer.
What?
So the deer that they hit, that's like making... And so I saw this before I watched the movie. And like, once you know it's him, like, I can totally hear it.
Oh,
Like,
that
it
is
sounds
wild.
like if you go back during the movie, unfazed, sure, that's like a dying animal. But I swear, rewatching it, and again, I'm just like a really big like Key and Peele fan and stuff. So like I know his voice, but like going back, I was like, that's so weird because I can tell it's him.
I feel like I have to go
It's his
back.
voice,
I feel like I have to go back.
I have to go back and watch it now.
I would have never
yes.
guessed that. Like
I
that
wouldn't have guessed a
been on my
human.
radar.
Yeah.
To be like, I wonder if that's the director. I wonder if this dead deer is the director.
Okay,
Yes.
so okay, I don't feel so bad by not picking that one up. What's the next one?
And then the other one is when the TV is on, I forget exactly in what scene, where it says like, a mind is a terrible thing to waste. That's him as well on the TV.
Oh, okay. So we didn't actually see him.
So we didn't see him.
Voice.
It was just his voice that did the cameos.
I don't even remember that line.
Again, it was a tiny, it was supposed to be like the TV's on in the background for something else. Like it was not something we were supposed to be focusing on.
Okay.
You know what though? If I was a director, I would do that. Just like super random.
Yeah.
Put me here. Come here.
I feel like I'd want to be like a background, like put me in the back of the donut shop or something.
Yeah,
like, just
exactly.
like, just kind of there.
Totally.
Oh, I did want to talk about the movie, like how it got made. Because Keegan-Michael Key and Jordan Peele were working on a movie together. And Keegan-Michael Key introduced Jordan Peele to Sean McKittrick, I think is how you pronounce his last name.
Okay.
Who maybe doesn't sound familiar, but he was also the producer for Donnie Darko. So he's kind of a known producer. So they like went out and got like coffee or like lunch or something. And Jordan Peele kind of pitched this movie, this idea as a joke, like kind of being like, here's a movie you'll never make, and like had the whole story ready and like told him. And he was like, okay, yeah, like sold. I would like to buy this. I will pay you to write this actual movie. What if we like actually do this? So that's where it started.
Cool.
Was him being like, wait, actually, what if we make this right now?
Yeah, like let's just do it, man. Let's go.
And then the final thing is he had a very small budget. The budget was $4.5 million, which is crazy when you consider that it earned well over $255 million in the box
Honestly,
office.
I think it just like blew up. Like it I
really
just remember when it came out, like what
didn't it get an Oscar?
Yes, he did get an Oscar for it. I think he's one of only 4 African American people who have been even nominated, and he's the only one to have won.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Impressive.
Yeah. No, it got, I remember it got nominated for a bunch of stuff. Like it blew up. Like everyone was talking about this movie.
Because it's just such a unique style of a scary movie that like it stands out.
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting.
It was worth the rewatch.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, this felt like my first time, so I need to go watch it again now.
I only need to rewatch it for the deer scene. My goodness.
Yeah, no, I swear. And like, obviously I'm just like biased because I think I know, but it's like, I swear when I then heard it, I was like, no, I absolutely hear Jordan Peele.
I have to go watch it again. I have to.
Have to. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll be interested to see where we're at. Because here on Spooky Sips, when we give a rating, we don't do stars. We give sips of milk.
Oh.
Gross. So I'm not a milk drinker.
No.
Oh, it's total side tangent. But I did go get my nails done today. And the name was Milky Goat. So
love it.
That was cute.
Love it.
Anyway,
it was subconsciously there.
We don't give
thinking of milk on the mind.
We give sips. So out of 5 sips, how many do you give this movie?
I feel like it's hard because it's like I don't know. We don't only do horror movies, but it's like I wouldn't exactly characterize it as like a full horror.
I would not.
Movie,
no, I would not.
I would.
Yeah, I don't know.
Would call it a scary movie. I feel like it's more of like a thriller
for this,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like it is
like
more
suspense.
Like thriller suspense. Yeah.
There's
suspenseful.
But yeah, by the end, I mean,
well, that's true. Actually, I
by
guess.
the end, yeah,
you have a little gore.
Yeah. Oh man.
I don't know. I gotta think about this.
Okay, so for me, I feel like the creativity, the acting, so much of this movie makes me want to give it a 4. But the complete impossibility of the procedure that happens, and I know sometimes we talk about like you need to suspend reality, but I feel like that part I did not love, because I was like, that's freaking impossible. So that part does bump it down for me. So I want to give it a 3.75.
Okay. I've been watching a lot of Severance. So I feel like I'm kind of like, no, of course you could do this with the mind.
Totally.
If you can do the severance procedure, you can do this.
Yes.
So maybe I was more willing to accept this. So, okay, so I remember I loved this movie when it came out, because it came out and then I remember like I could just, you can talk about it for so long. Like when you go watch it with someone, you can just talk about every little thing that happened. And then it's like, oh my God, looking back, this scene was actually this. So I rewatched this movie, and then I did all the DVD bonus. Like I did the Q&A and the like little making of, and like I did all of that. And then I watched the director's commentary, which, like, in case we haven't said what that is, that means you just watch the movie again, but with the director talking.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I'll watch like half of it, and then like go to bed or whatever. I watched the entire thing. So I literally watched this movie twice.
Nice.
And I enjoyed it. So I feel like to me that earns a pretty high rating just by the fact that like I don't really know how I ended up watching this movie twice in one night.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Because I thought it was just like so cool. And again, I think part of it is that Jordan Peele is a total nerd and talked through the entire thing, like broke down all the scenes and like why he did all of the different things. So like that's why I was so into the second rewatch. But like, I don't know. I feel like for me it has to be like a 4.5.
Nice.
I don't know. If I watched a movie twice in one day, like I don't know. I don't think I can give it anything less than that.
Yes. Yeah, I think for me, like I have a few different like metrics that I try to consider when I'm rating a movie. I think one of them is my watching experience. I think another one is like historically where it lands, like and then I think also just like, did I enjoy talking about it after? Like, did I, and I think for me, like I went into this kind of being like, okay, I'll just like scroll my phone and watch it in the back. No, I was engaged the entire time. Like I did not once veer off. Like I was totally in it. And I think like it made such an impact when it came out, and to this day still does. Yeah. And I have loved talking about it. So for me, I think it's a 4.25.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I really enjoyed this movie.
I'm questioning my 3.75. Okay,
no, don't. Because I think it's okay.
Yeah. It's just the brain part, guys. That's otherwise it would have been
actually
okay.
It's interesting because like I've been going back through and like writing down our ratings. Early on, we were all over the it was rare that we all three were on the same page.
That's
and then in the middle, we were like the same every episode or really close. And now I feel like we're starting. So I actually think like it's okay when when we're off.
Yeah.
We're not all one mind. So oh, what a good movie.
And it was so good.
I also we also used to say like, do we recommend? I think all of us say you must watch this movie.
Oh, this
you have to.
If you somehow have gotten this far and haven't watched this movie. Like,
and actually, if you're not really into horror, if you're like, oh, I don't like scary movies, I feel like you could watch this.
Yeah, it's not going to freak you out.
But it's not like that kind of scary. So I think watch it no matter what. Well, I'm excited for our next one because I'm sure you've heard so much about it. And by the time it's coming out, it's been a couple of months, but that's okay. That's okay. We're going to watch The Substance with Demi Moore.
I am so excited. I honestly, I just keep hearing about it, but I have not watched anything about it.
I know.
Yes. I feel like people keep recommending it without giving anything away. So it's like, I know nothing about it.
Yeah, I know. So so it's going to be a good one. So if you haven't seen it, get watching, get sipping, and we'll see you next time on Spooky Sips.
Bye. Bye. Thank you for listening to Spooky Sips. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you're listening. To stay up to date on all the spooky things we're up to, follow us on Facebook and Instagram at spookysips_podcast. And if you want to help support the podcast, consider buying us a coffee, or really a cocktail. We are completely independent, so every little bit goes a long way to keeping our podcast running and improving. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.